Welcome back to Dark Screen Confessions, the channel where secrets never stay buried. Story 1. The First Class Fraud. Today's story is about a woman who believed that rules were for everyone else. Unfortunately for her, airport security disagreed. Let's dive in. A few years ago, I was flying from Chicago to Los Angeles for a business conference. My flight was scheduled for early morning, so the airport was packed with tired travelers and long security lines. I was standing in line for boarding when I noticed a woman in her 50s storming toward the gate. She was wearing designer sunglasses indoors, carrying an oversized purse and dragging two massive suitcases behind her. The moment she arrived, she immediately began complaining. The line was too long, the gate agent was too slow, the seats were too small, nothing seemed good enough. Then boarding began. First-class passengers were invited to board first. The woman marched directly to the front of the line. The gate agent smiled and asked for her boarding pass. The woman's confidence disappeared instantly. She wasn't sitting in first class. She wasn't even in premium economy. She had a standard economy ticket. The agent politely directed her to wait for her group. The woman exploded. She demanded a supervisor. She claimed she was a very important customer. She insisted the airline always upgraded her. She accused the gate agent of discrimination. Passengers began staring. The supervisor arrived and calmly explained the same thing. Her ticket was economy. Her boarding group had not been called. She needed to wait. Most people would have accepted reality. Not this woman. She suddenly pushed past the agent and attempted to walk down the jet bridge anyway. That was a very bad decision. Airport security was called immediately. Within minutes, 2 officers arrived. The woman continued shouting. She demanded names. She demanded badges. She demanded everyone be fired. The officers asked her to step aside. She refused. At that point, the airline made its decision. Her boarding pass was cancelled. Her seat was reassigned, and she was informed she would not be traveling on that flight. The woman's face turned white. Suddenly, she stopped yelling. Suddenly, she wanted to cooperate, but it was too late. She had delayed boarding, disrupted operations, and ignored multiple instructions from airline staff. Security escorted her away while the rest of us boarded the plane. As I walked down the jet bridge, I could still hear her shouting about lawsuits. The funniest part? The flight left completely full. Someone else got her seat. And while she spent the day arguing with airline representatives, I arrived in Los Angeles right on time. Some people think being loud makes them important. Sometimes it just gets them left behind. Story 2. The Grocery Store Queen. Today's story is about a woman who believed the phrase, "the customer is always right," gave her unlimited power. It didn't. Let's dive in. A few years ago, I worked part-time at a large grocery store while finishing college. Most customers were perfectly normal. Some were friendly. Some were impatient. And then there was Linda. Everyone knew Linda. Employees knew her, managers knew her, even customers recognized her. She visited the store almost every week, and every visit ended the same way, with a complaint. Sometimes the fruit was too expensive. Sometimes the checkout lines were too long. Sometimes a coupon that expired 6 months earlier somehow should still work. No matter what happened, Linda always demanded a manager. And somehow she usually got what she wanted. Free gift cards, store credits, discounts, apologies. Over time, she learned a simple lesson. If she complained loudly enough, management would reward her. So she became louder and louder and louder. One Saturday afternoon, Linda rolled an overflowing shopping cart to my register. After I scanned everything, her total came to nearly $400. Immediately, she started complaining. The produce wasn't fresh enough, the shelves weren't organized properly, the parking lot was dirty. Then she announced she expected a discount, a large one. I politely explained that there was no valid reason for a discount. Linda demanded a manager. No surprise there. But this time, things were different. We had a new store manager, a former military officer named Richard. Unlike previous managers, Richard had very little patience for nonsense. He listened quietly while Linda delivered a 10-minute speech about how terrible the store was. When she finished, she crossed her arms and smiled confidently. She clearly expected another gift card. Instead, Richard asked a simple question. If our store is truly this awful, why do you keep coming back every week? The entire checkout area went silent. Linda stared at him. Richard continued, "It sounds like we're failing to meet your expectations. Therefore, I think the best solution is for you to shop somewhere else." Linda looked completely shocked. She wasn't prepared for resistance. She wasn't prepared for consequences. Most importantly, she wasn't prepared to hear the word no. Richard cancelled the transaction and personally escorted her shopping cart away. Then he informed her she was welcome to leave. Without a discount, without a gift card, without an apology. Linda stormed out of the store, screaming. Customers actually applauded. I had never seen anything like it. For months afterward, employees joked about the day Linda lost. And the strangest part? She never came back. Apparently, she found another store willing to tolerate her behavior. Good luck to them. Sometimes, entitled people keep pushing because nobody ever pushes back. All it takes is one person willing to say no. Story 3. The HOA President. Today's story is about a homeowners association president who believed she controlled an entire neighborhood. She was wrong. Let's begin. When my wife and I bought our first home, we knew it was part of an HOA community. For those unfamiliar, an HOA is a homeowners association responsible for enforcing neighborhood rules. Most HOAs are harmless. Ours was not. The president of our HOA was a woman named Susan. Susan treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom. She constantly patrolled the streets looking for violations. Grass half an inch too tall? Fine. Trash can visible from the street? Fine. Holiday decorations left up too long? Fine. Nobody liked her, but everyone tolerated her. Arguing with Susan only made things worse. Then she decided to target me. One afternoon, I received a violation notice. Apparently, my mailbox was painted the wrong shade of black. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. The notice demanded immediate correction. A week later, another violation arrived. Then another. Then another. Every time I fixed one issue, Susan found something new. It felt personal. Eventually, I discovered why. Susan wanted to buy my house for her daughter. I had declined months earlier. Apparently, she hadn't forgiven me. One evening, while reviewing HOA documents online, I discovered something interesting. The HOA board had strict rules. Even the president had to follow them. Especially the president. Out of curiosity, I walked around Susan's property. What I found was incredible. Unauthorized fence modifications, unapproved landscaping, an oversized storage shed, several clear violations. Violations that carried substantial fines. I documented everything. Photos, dates, measurements. Then I submitted the evidence directly to the HOA board. Not Susan, the entire board. The board launched an investigation. Within weeks, the violations were confirmed. Susan had spent years aggressively enforcing rules she personally ignored. The hypocrisy was impossible to defend. The fines were significant, but the financial penalty wasn't the worst part. The real punishment came at the next HOA election. Residents were furious. For years, they had tolerated her behavior. Now they had proof. Susan lost the election by a landslide. It wasn't even close. A few months later, she moved away. The neighborhood became noticeably quieter. People smiled more. Complaints dropped dramatically. And somehow, the world didn't end when someone's trash can stayed visible for an extra day. Funny how that works. Some people mistake authority for ownership. Susan learned the difference the hard way. Dark screen confessions, where secrets never stay buried.